Hi, everyone. It's Kat. Thanks for joining me today. As I was trying to think about what to talk about today, I realized something that would be very timely would be talking about heat and how to bring cooling practices into your day, which we might refer to from an Ayurvedic perspective as bringing down your pitta. Now, if you are anywhere in the Northern Hemisphere right now, you probably either are in the midst of or have recently experienced a heat wave. I know that that's definitely what's been going on for me up in the Northeast of the US. We actually broke a record in terms of highs yesterday for degrees, but we've also broken a record in terms of days in a row above 95 degrees Fahrenheit, which up here we refer to as a heat wave. Normally, we only may be able to get like 2 or 3 days in a row. So hitting 9 days in a row is a pretty big deal. And during this time, having to try to manage that when our bodies really aren't used to it has got me thinking a lot more about different kinds of cooling practices and also just lifestyle adjustments that we can make when we are dealing with extreme heat. Now, if you're familiar with Ayurveda at all, and you have heard of the doshas, you'll know that there's three primary ones that we talk about. They are Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. And what most people usually know about these is that they're associated with certain personality traits. Sometimes people feel like they're linked to certain physical attributes. But beyond being associated with the human body, it can also be associated with times of the day and times of the year as well. Now, when we talk about doshas, what we're referring to is the ways in which you're most likely to go out of balance. So we all have the three primary doshas within our bodies, but if, let's say, for example, you're like me and your primary dosha is vata, then you are most likely to when you're out of balance to have the symptoms of a vata imbalance. Same thing with pitta and same thing with kapha. But even if you have a primary dosha that's reflective of one category or set of traits or what we would call a constitution, it doesn't mean you cannot have imbalances in the other areas. And it also doesn't mean that you can't be affected by the environment and the climate that you're in. So right now, summer is Pitta season, and that makes sense because Pitta is associated with the elements of fire. And I believe there's another one too, and I apologize, I'm forgetting, but fire is definitely one of the primary ones. So actually, Pitta is really important when we talk about digestion. We talk about digestive fire, otherwise referred to as Agni. But during Pitta season, if you think about it, it's like the heat, also kind of a sense of more like busy, frenetic energy because the weather's nice and you have more like kind of like the mood boost from the sun. And if you live somewhere like me where it snows during the winter, during the summer, you're going to be more likely to get out and about as well. So, what can happen though is that if we're dealing with heat for an extended period of time and we're not doing things to help bring ourselves back into balance, regardless of our primary dosha, you can start to experience probably some of the things that I know that I've been experiencing recently, like feeling really fatigued, feeling dehydrated, maybe just not overall not feeling great, and also getting a little bit stretched thin as well, because like I said, there's a little bit more frenetic energy this time of year. So we're going to talk about, from the Ayurvedic perspective, some things that you can do if you're dealing with extreme heat or even just a prolonged summer season or pitta season, to kind of help yourself stay in balance and maybe reduce the effects of the physical effects of the heat and also the emotional mental effects of just a busier time of year. So I'll start with diet because that's something that most people think of a lot when they come to Ayurveda is how can you adjust your diet? Because Ayurveda is very focused on digestion. So we want to have a healthy digestive system. We want to have a healthy gut. We want everything to be moving the way that it's supposed to and not trapping what we refer to as ama or toxins in our body. And also we want to avoid disease, right? Disease of the intestines, disease of the stomach, disease of the colons, anything that affects the digestive system. So when we think about Pitta, just in general for the Pitta constitution, but also during the Pitta time of year, we want to try to steer a little more clear of any heating foods. So think about like spices like chilies, even though I know people want to do kind of like Mexican and like Latin style foods, especially if you're in the U.S. During the summer seasons, people tend to associate that with summer. But yeah, avoiding kind of like any kinds of chilies. We want to, I know this is hard for some people, but cut back on the coffee, cut back on alcohol, if not eliminate it completely, because those are all heating and can just irritate the digestive system, especially during this time of year. So you want to trade those out for more cooling foods. So think like mint, maybe like cucumbers, anything with a lot of like water to it, like a watermelon would be good, something good. Anything coconut related, as long as you don't have a coconut allergy. Chamomile. So if you think about maybe brewing some chamomile tea and then letting it cool and adding ice to that could be really nice. Although we do want to be careful about making things too cold because that can actually damper your digestive fire too much. So you want to walk that fine line of having something cool but not freezing cold. So you could do something like water with like infused water with mint or cucumber would be really nice for a hot day. Like I said, iced teas or iced herbal teas that are cooling would be really, really nice. And then physically, you can rub things like coconut oil on your body. Again, assuming you don't have any kind of allergy. Coconut is one of the go-to oils for Pitta dosha because it's more cooling. So actually for myself, I like to make my own body scrub with different kinds of oils at the base. And so in the winter, especially because I'm Vata and I have a tendency towards dry skin and getting cold, I tend to go for untoasted sesame oil as the base for my body scrub in the winter, but in the summer I switch over to fractionated coconut oil because of that cooling element to it, which is really nice. So that's another thing you can think of, making like a body scrub or just using it for a self massage. And then we also want to think about, I mentioned earlier that Vata can kind of create a lot of busyness, which can be really good, but it can also, especially, if you're a social person and it's the time of year where it's easier for you to get out and about, that's great. But it can also lead to a feeling of being overstretched because people are, getting out and about. There's maybe more parties, more activities, more fun times. But you may start to find yourself a little bit stretched thin and overcommitted if you're running around to a lot of different activities and social events. I know that I've been experiencing that a bit recently between my kids' activities and some like increases in our social calendar. So you want to think about practices and lifestyle that avoid situations where you're getting physically overheated, but also situations where you're getting depleted because you're kind of feeding into that really frenetic energy and not putting any boundaries around your time. So some good activities that can actually help with both of those would be anything water related. So water is cooling, but it also brings down, I was referring to Vata. So Vata, when Vata goes out of balance, it does get very kind of like up in the clouds, tendency towards anxiety. And so if the frenetic energy of the Pitta season is leading you to experience any anxiety because maybe you are running from place to place and you're getting a little stretched thin, doing something water related is great, both physically, like I said, for cooling the body, but also for bringing down some of that like frenetic energy that you might be feeling. So obviously swimming, pool, lake, beach, any of those are great. Cool shower or a cooling foot bath could be really nice too. Like let's say you don't have time to go swimming or time to take a full shower, but you just want to soak your feet a little bit at nighttime. Maybe some tepid water with some Epsom salts, and maybe you could throw in something like some lavender oil or something like that just to have a relaxing, calming experience. And we also want to think about how we maybe modify our yoga and meditation practices during this time. So if it's really hot and you are feeling like you're having any kind of pitta imbalance, and that can include skin irritation and things like that as well. So if you're noticing anything like that, that could be a sign of a pitta imbalance as well. So if you're, again, feeling overheated, really frenetic, you want to think about slowing down your yoga practice. So you definitely don't want to be doing like really physical asana practice during this time. You want to think about gentle flow or restorative yoga. And also anything that kind of helps you reach a state of meditation. Because if you've noticed, let's say you've gone to a flow class and then you've lain in Shavasana or the final resting pose at the end, you may be familiar with your teacher prompting you to like, hey, cover up with a blanket or throw on a shirt or something like that. Because once you actually go into a meditative state, your internal body temperature cools down. So we can use that to our advantage during the summer, during Pitta season, by, again, doing like restorative yoga is wonderful because you're laying on the ground in different poses where you're not getting in a lot of movement and you're going into that meditative space. So that could be cooling and also, bringing down any kind of frenetic energy. And also just sitting in meditation can be wonderful as well. And I just wanted to end today by showing you all a specific cooling pranayama or breathing practice that you could use either in conjunction with your gentle yoga practice, or you could do maybe while doing your foot soak at night, or really any time of day if you're feeling a little overheated or a little bit stretched and stressed and just want to sit for a few moments and cool your body down and also calm the mind. So this is called the Shatali Pranayama, and it's done by curling your tongue like this, which I realize some people are not able to do. So if for whatever reason you're not able to curl your tongue or it just doesn't feel comfortable, you just want to close your mouth, but then part your lips slightly and almost breathe in through your teeth, almost as if they're like a little filter. That makes sense. So it kind of looks like this. So the idea is just naturally when you breathe in, the air is going to be cooler than when it's coming out of your body. But this really amplifies the effect of it. So what you're doing is with that curled tongue or with that just gently parted mouth, you're slowly breathing in, then closing your lips to hold the coolness inside, and then exhaling through your nose. And this is something you can actually do for a few minutes, but we'll just do a couple rounds of it together so that you can get the idea and then you can continue it on your own if you find it helpful. So go ahead and either gently part your lips with your teeth still closed together, or go ahead and curl your tongue. And we'll just do maybe 3 to 5 rounds of this. So go ahead and inhale. And exhale through your nose with your mouth closed. Go ahead and inhale. And exhale. We'll just do that one more time. So inhale. And exhale. Great. And hopefully I'm even noticing, even just doing that 3 times, I can really feel that coolness. My mouth just all feels a little bit cooler and I feel a little bit more relaxed. So I hope it helped you to feel that way. And like I said, if you feel like this is something that would be helpful, I know it looks a little strange, but if you feel it would be helpful, you can do this for a minute or two and then just suspend that and just try to breathe normally, maybe with your eyes closed or a gentle gaze, just to give yourself a little break in your day to kind of cool down and reset. I hope this was helpful, excuse me, and I hope you're staying cool this summer. If you have any questions or comments, please post them below, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.